friends. How are ya? Hope you enjoyed your Sunday and the Super Bowl or the live streams or whatever it was that you were doing. I'm like, there's something I'm forgetting that I need to touch on. I was like, oh, aside from, that big trial that's tomorrow that gets started, that my video is getting blocked. If you're not subscribed, apparently you can't see the video, the gray thumbnail, because thank you Larry Girl very much for going and checking this out for me, because she had unsubscribed, took a look at my video list and saw that the one with the gray thumbnail was missing. When she got back in, logged in, subscribed, oh, there it is. The video with the gray thumbnail, we talk about it in my community page a bit. That's the video that has to do with the trial that's starting tomorrow, that's been postponed 3 times. The one that has to do with a guy named Joshua, S-C-H-U-L-T-E, worked in the CIA, stole a lot of troves of information. They call it Vault 7, and shared it with WikiLeaks starting back in 2010 or earlier. But essentially, this information, there were secrets that the military were using while they were in war, and this information was then used and weaponized against our soldiers who were fighting in the wars overseas. And then one thing led to another, and then he got all involved with, the 2016 election and, hacking and all that for WikiLeaks. And so that's the video you can't see. That's the one that it was locked down for like an hour. I post that picture as well. But I can't, sometimes, like, even when I was looking to link it at the end screens, I couldn't find it. It was gone. So evidently I'm hitting a big nerve there. So if you guys want to check it out, go check it out, see if you can see it. I'm not going to say it out loud. I've already said too much out loud. But anyway, knowing that we are, there's a lot of questions whether or not our elections are secure. And there's just a great big vortex of energy that's just been bubbling and building up, and just so much fanfare about the Iowa caucuses. I mean, seriously, when did you hear about the Iowa caucuses? Like, you hear about them now in your lifetime. Now, they're a big deal, but they really weren't a big deal until someone decided to run for president and make them a big deal. And so what I wanted to do, knowing that the Iowa caucuses were starting tomorrow and how much I love my teroscopes and my astrology cards, I just kind of wanted to see what was going to happen there with the Iowa caucuses tomorrow. What was the environment going to be like? What's the setup? How are things going to go? So this is actually going to end up being 2 parts. This part, I kind of talk about the setting. I talk about the horoscope starting at 7 p.m. because the research that I did said that generally the caucuses start around 7 p.m. So that's what I'm using, and I'm using the city of Des Moines, Iowa for the horoscope because that's the capital of Iowa. And then what I have done here is that I've laid out the astrology cards so that I know what links to what as we lay these out. And I laid 3 different decks out here. One, which is this beige deck. That is just the caucus in general, the caucuses. Just the event of the caucuses. That's it. This card is for the Democrats because it's their caucuses. And then this card is for foreign election interference. So that's just what I want to explain to you. And then when I'm done with that, I am going to randomly, we'll select 5 cards from this deck. I was going to call them candidate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or A, B, C, D, E. No, I'm just going to call them the candidate by which the card that is drawn. And then I will do a teroscope based on that following this to see how it goes. And the reason why I'm doing this blind, I don't know who the candidates are when I draw them, so that I'm trying to eliminate my bias. Because everybody has their favorites. And that's okay. We can all have our favorites. We can have our not so favorites. It's all going to work out, you guys. Okay? Ultimately, it's a binary choice. Get Trump out. That's all. And try to ignore the propaganda. Okay, so if we want to start here, so it's 7 p.m. in Des Moines, Iowa. This is the chart. Let's see, what do we have? Over here on the ascendant, we have, so it's 7 p.m. The sun is 14 degrees Aquarius, 40 minutes in the 6th house of service. I like seeing that the sun is there in the 6th house of service because in Aquarius, this also has to do with hopes and wishes and friendship and our greater humanitarian efforts. I like that Mercury, which has now moved into Pisces in a water element, it is in shadow, but that's a good thing. I'm very much looking forward to this Mercury retrograde. But Mercury is here in its home in this sector that Virgo owns. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so we're going to have the sun and the spirit of humanitarian efforts, kind of the visionary, the revolutionary, here in the 6th house of our higher good with communication. Now, Mercury is not strong in Pisces. It's communications will be confusing anyway because the Mercury has moved into a new sign, Pisces. It's in shadow, kind of before retrograde. And because the moon is in Gemini, also a mutable sign, there's going to be tension in the air, there's going to be fog in the air, and then here we have, down at the bottom of the chart, our home, as people are talking and visiting with each other, Mars is going to be at the bottom of the chart, which is going to be kind of aggressive. So there's going to be confusing, aggressive, passionate discussions. I am glad that the sun will be tempered in Virgo, which in the 6th house here, because that makes one more inclined to be of service, to be a little bit more virtuous, except there might be a little bit too much victim-y and this isn't fairness going on. And it will lead to sides saying they're not being listened to, this isn't fair. Okay, so if you hear that type of language, just pause, think about that, and say, is that true? Tell me about that. If that's a person you're talking with and you want to get down to the details, because we kind of need to have these checks on each other on what we're saying, because it's going to be emotional, it's going to be impulsive, it's going to be not clear. So people are going to have to really work to clarify and listen, regardless if they like things or not, and they're going to have to separate their ideas and this process, separate that from the fear they feel with our administration and the president and the fear that they feel within their own party, okay? Because that fear within the own party, that's a lie. That's a lie. They keep trying to convince us that the Democrats don't know what they're doing and they're messed up, but it's like, hello. No, Nancy is slaying this thing. We've done what we've said we're going to do during the elections, and all along, they've kept the vision, they've gone forward, and they've surprised a lot of people. So on the ascendant in the eastern horizon, like I was saying, 2 degrees Virgo. Virgo owns this property, yay, ruled by Mercury, also here, and that belongs there. As we get to the top of the chart, in the skies above Des Moines, Iowa, we have the moon, which is 7 degrees Gemini. It is going to be chatty. There's going to be a lot of talking, there's going to be a lot of socializing. There's going to be so much information. There's going to be information that gets confused. But I like that this moon has a beautiful trine, a beautiful beam to the sun and Aquarius, both air signs. So There'll be good intuitive downloading information, like insights that people probably didn't predict at all. The polling is going to have it wrong because Mercury, which rules polling, is now going to be in Pisces, and everything that they've been polling to this point with shadow, I mean, the Mercury's it's a whole new ballgame. It's a whole different type of language and dialogue. So ignore the polling. Those are the things that I like. I like that the sun being in Aquarius. Aquarius is the natural ruler of this sector over here that has to do with hopes and wishes and friendships. We have the North Node there, the North Node of the moon, which is guiding us where we need to go, where we're progressing, where Speaker Pelosi tied the Republican Party masterfully in starting in the first day of fall, but even into the first day of winter, and tying the schedules with the impeachments and everything she's ever announced to the North Node and the eclipses. And you can see the result of that. The Republican Party, it's like they can't get traction on anything. Pelosi's got the goods, which I am determined to do a horoscope reading on the divine feminine kicking butt right now. And there's a reason, and it's going to last, and it's affecting the USA chart. So anyway, that's that. So when I laid these out on the ascendant, like I said, things are going to be tense. We have the Grand Cross, the provocateur. So you can see it's highlighting all these 4 points here on the chart. We have the ascendant, we have the descendant, how we relate to each other. This is who I am. This is how I relate with people. This is, what we're striving for. This is where we come from. And they're all in square. It's just me chatty, 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 chatty. So I'm okay with this because sometimes people freak out from grand crosses with all of these squares, but you know what? This type of stuff keeps you on your toes and accountable. You can't really slack off and get lazy. That's one benefit of it. So as we look at this area, imagine that Virgo is on the ascendant, and I drew this card, Virgo. So there definitely is a strong emphasis on service, getting things right, paying attention to details, and communicating, analyzing what's going on. Okay? So when we look at the first house and we look at the conversations, the caucus, because the sun is in the 6th house that Virgo owns, the sun represents the president. The moon in the 10th house also has to do with leadership. What's the topic of conversation going to be just for the caucus in general? That Donald is done. There's going to be an overwhelming sense that he's done. This is probably going to dominate conversation more than what people expect. The Democrats have the 3 of Cups. There is a real effort here to listen and talk and collaborate and communicate to get this right as they go on through the night. The interference part, they're trying to give us nightmares. So when we talk about drama, the moon, which has to do with the emotions, I can't even imagine what the disinformation is like there, but they're screaming. The loudest things, the loudest controversies you're hearing coming out of Iowa is the propaganda and the nightmare they're trying to push, because remember, they have control of the narrative. They control the trends. The media reports on the trends. The Trump campaign bribes the media. This is the most important thing for interference. This is the most important thing for Democrats, coming together, working together, and figuring this out. And the caucus knows Donald is done. When it comes to, I don't know what to do with this stuff. So I love that Virgo and Virgo, we just stay here. We don't have to look for anything for any other guidance. We stay here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I didn't write those down. Let's go down this second house. So this area has to do, Taurus is the natural ruler here. Incomes, gains, but it also has to do with our values, our self-worth, and what we value, and our comfort. So this is interesting because here we have Mercury retrograde. Mercury is in shadow, but Mercury retrograde as well, reinvention, rethinking. There's going to be a lot of discussion about things from the past and the value of reevaluating that. I will tell you why I'm not afraid of Mercury retrograde is because Speaker Pelosi has Pisces, is in Aries. Her Mercury is in Pisces retrograde. This is when she comes to shine. And everybody else is like, huh? Donald sucks under Mercury retrograde. He gets really confused. As you could see, because, yay to the Kansas City Chiefs from Kansas who won the Super Bowl, right? There you go. So here, this is ruled by Mercury. There's going to be a lot of discussion and going back to the past. That is what this is a value. They're valuing looking back at the past. And looking back at the past, the caucus in general, they're looking at those things, they're discussing those things. They are coming together. This isn't that they're setting something up to leave. It's that they're assembling something of value that takes experience. And when the night is over, the moon's looking over, this is what's going to happen. And walking away, they're accepting it. Now, I like this from the Democrats. The Five of Swords, their value, reevaluating what happened and making sure the Democrats win 2020. I'm not talking about the caucus. I'm talking about winning 2020. It begins here. They're all in. They're ready to fight. Fight, fight, fight to win 2020. Which I'm glad to see because I just recently, I would say in the last maybe 3 to 6 months, have I been starting to see the Democrats have more teeth in going for something and sticking to it and defending what they have their eyes on their prize. It's like they're not confused anymore. The foreign election interference, their value, they're looking for votes. They're looking to sway votes, the Seven of Pentacles. When we come down here now to this this house, Gemini is the natural ruler down here, so Mercury plays a role here. We have Venus on the ascendant. Look at this. Again, here's some mutual reception. The 8th house. So they're going to be having some really in-depth talks, beginnings and endings. The 8th house has to do with money, has to do with transformation, life and death. These are going to be some really heavy-duty, intense, in-depth conversations that they're having. And so here, look at this. And we're going to look to the 8th house for some answers as well. So the caucus has the high priestess. They're going to be debating a lot of issues. It's going to be intense, like I said. They're going to go beneath the surface to talk about things. I do worry that the high priestess, being the sign of Russia-related things and elections and disinformation, I feel like there's a cloud of that has already inserted itself in the caucus, which is to be expected because look at the build up to this. Look at all the energy and emotion behind it. And so when we look to the 8th house, it says water, sensing. This is a water sign. Well, what does the caucus have for the 8th house? they have the moon, the outrage. So that tells me there's some outrage here going on, maybe from the past, but also the provocation. Remember? Provocation, provoking the caucus, okay, into probably some really deep issues that really are irrelevant. They're going to be trying to push some things. The Democrats, the Knight of Wands, they're taking action. Look at, they have they're looking back at what's happened, but I almost feel like the Democrats are just being very aware, looking in all directions to not fall into election manipulation. I mean, there's already a lot of stuff that's getting planted out there. The Democrats here in the 8th house. Oh, and I believe Speaker Pelosi, I think she has a Scorpio moon. I think she has an Aries sun and a Scorpio moon. The 8th house, the Democrats have the Hanged Man. These are different perspectives because it has to do with water and sensing and being intuitive, sensing different perspectives, looking at all angles, responding to the moon above. And look at this, the election interference. Hey, Lavrov from Russia. Their op there is to deploy as much drama as possible. And you know what? It has affected the caucus. It's landed. We see that in the haze and confusion with the high priestess. And this area that has to do with home, everyone's going to be caucusing. They might be feeling defensive, especially with what's being planted here. We have Scorpio down here as well. We have a lot of water activity, but there's a lot of analysis going on. There's a lot of provocation going on. And this beneath their feet is saying, look to the 3rd house and the messages you're seeing. We really have to be clear about the messages we're seeing. The caucus has drawn the World card. The caucus wants a successful ending for the night. They've considered everything, and they want something that they're proud of. The Democrats have the 5 of Wands. Now, this 5 of Wands card, yes, it's fighting, but it's also my card for like fighting like in a game or a tournament. It's energized, whether you're like playing a professional game or for recreation. There's a lot of jousting going on. There's digs there's strategy that's being deployed there. It's 5 wands fighting, wands, passion, in respect to everyone is paying attention. There's going to be some provocateurs. There's tension there, and everyone feels it, and everybody wants to get it right. The election meddlers, the magician. I do not like saying this because the magician represents to me the hackers, be it China, North Korea, and now most recently, if you've watched my video on General Soleimani and who knew, the reason why they had to get him out is because this Trump-Russia stuff that's coming out, especially with this WikiLeaks case that is tomorrow, they were also hackers. We always talk maybe about Iran with having master hackers. No, it's all of them. Iran, ISIS, all of them, they have their own mercenary hackers. They're experts at this. So this is on the ground. It's affecting the defenses. And there's going to be, whatever happens, there's going to be a lot of blame that's been going around, but I feel like there's been a lot of preparation to anticipate whatever could happen. So, yeah. In this 5th house here, this area that has to do with the sun, they're choosing a new leader. Well, I like that here, the card of Libra, not only balance, but justice. the scales of balance, not going too far one way or another, keeping the balance. There's going to be a big emphasis here because Jupiter is there expanding things. Then you have the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which reflects the changes in the structure of our government and the changes in power. I love that there is a decided effort here honoring balance and fairness here. The caucus. Fifth house of the sun. Yes, this continues to be discussions in this regard because we don't want a dictatorship, and that's where we're headed. That's the theme of the discussion. The Democrats, Six of Cups, going back, there's going to be discussions about what happened, not only in 2016, but in 2018, and as we head to 2020, and how we do things, how things are structured, how things happen, okay? But here's Facebook trying to interfere and scare you with all these goblins and your Democrats going to do this. Your progressives are going to do this. The caucus is going to do this. Cheat, 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 cheat. Shut up. Don't listen to that garbage. This is really interesting because, remember, the sun is over here in this sector that is ruled by Virgo, which is on the ascendant, giving life to all of the caucuses. I love that it's Virgo because there's going to be a lot of scrutiny. The media is going to be super annoying because they're going to chase every single detail down a rabbit hole, and they're just going to be talking incessantly about going in circles. And then they'll make a stupid joke about the Super Bowl. Okay, watch for that too. It's just going to be this annoying. Scorpio, I love this. Transformation. Here they all are in this area that has to do with public servants. Public servants, we as citizens, our duty as citizens. This also has to do day-to-day operations. So if this is day-to-day operations, it also has to do with intelligence, FBI investigations. There's been a lot of scrutiny to keep things secure. Scorpio has X-ray vision, can see beneath the surface, and can see vulnerabilities. They know how to attack. But I feel like this is a friendly. I feel like this is Scorpio at Scorpio's best, because we have water in their own house. There's death. They like change, facilitating that. Scorpio is having a really strong presence because the lower heaven, here we go, Scorpio is right on that lower heaven. The caucus, they're going to deliver some good news. It's going to be a good experience. They're going to have, open eyes, open hearts, open ears, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to go. They are operating on the premise of having a good experience and getting the work done the right way. The Democrats, Ace of Swords, getting to the truth of the matter. No BS. We're done with bullshit. Okay? However, in the area of public servants and how we're going to do this, there's some Knight of Wands for taking action for the bad guys. So there will be people on the ground there, Knight of Wands, trying to manipulate and provoke. I think they're doing as good of a job so far that I see beneath the horizon to get things in order. In the seventh, this area, the seventh house, we the people. I like here, now this is usually ruled by, this is Libra owns this area. So there's such a heavy emphasis on balance. Well, Libra owning this real estate, Venus is right there. And Libra is ruled by Venus. So this is just going to work so naturally. The caucus, we the people, groups of people, partnerships. The earth element, stability. They're going to have some really stable productive discussions. That Venus conjunct Neptune that are going to feel kind of dreamy. It's going to be full of love. The compassionate servant. Everyone is going in here taking this seriously and for love for one another, because we're all in this together. This is our country. They realize that. So the caucus knows what they have to do. They're going to be efficient. It's coming quickly. The Democrats, we are going to work together. We're going to get this done. We, as a caucus, we're going to listen to each other, and this is what we're setting up. This is what we say. End of story. Look who the meddler is. It's the freaking government. Election meddling is coming from the government. I don't mean Iowa government. I mean D.C. and then whoever they have spread out in Iowa. Oh, you know what? Those are the Knights of Wands. Those are the Knights of Wands on the ground. I don't know where they're. Here, yeah. Donald's little lieutenants on the ground. They'll be there. So we the people, they just stick together. They'll get it done. They'll be good. In the 8th house, shared resources. Water element, sensing. So everyone is going to have their extrasensory perception going. Seven of Cups, the moon. This isn't so much about betrayal. It's almost, what is the word I'm looking for? It's therapeutic. It begins with the letter C. When it's like cleansing. It's relief. Oh, this word escapes me right now. It's a psychological word. But anyway, I'm having problems with my word retrieval. But it's going to be very productive and healing. Everybody's going to be gathered underneath the moon. And the Scorpion here is asking that we get this right and consider all the details. And it's that there's truths that are out there, and we need to air everything out and transform what's going on. I'm sorry, this is the wrong one. So, where did that moon card come from? Oh, that's all the way in the 9th house. Sorry, you guys. I'm in the wrong place. So in the 8th house here, the caucus, that's the confusion. That's the haze. This is the thing that's kind of nebulous. They're trying to transform and get their hands on and make it something tangible. But there's a lot of things that need to be listened to and considered. The Democrats, death. We're done with this administration hacking elections. We're done. We're a different Democratic Party now. It's like laying down the gauntlet. This matters. We're going to get it right. This is not a death onto anybody else, but this is about change. This is about change and transformation, the Democratic Party. And I will tell you, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction really blessed the Democratic Party to hold the line on the individual, and not only the individual, but we the people, and having that balance. It's almost like they're the gatekeepers on that. For like another 500 years, it's really good. So I'm glad to see this, especially here. Don't be afraid of this card. Now, the election meddling has the nostalgia card, like, oh, remember this, remember that, and trying again to provoke people from the past. Iowa, ignore it. You got everything you need. You know what you're doing. So in this area that has to do with lands traveled far away, I call this Putin's house. We have Taurus. Again, Taurus has to do with what we value. It's fed by Aries, which is Mars, so it's going to be energized. We're going to be energized about our values, but look at here. There's like some really sudden Why is the faraway team getting some benefit here? I don't like this. It has this Taurus. I have. Reevaluate. What are these cards? Okay, so the moon, the outrage over what's happened in the past, listening to each other. There's going to be some sudden shocking news tomorrow night related maybe to the high priestess. That is Russian interference. Oh my gosh, the election interference is coming straight from Russia. It couldn't be clearer. The Democrats, they have a different perspective. Does this make them the sacrificial lamb in the... No, there's no sacrificial lamb. Nope, there's no martyr. They're really working hard to listen to all. What's crowning Des Moines, Iowa? Well, we have Sagittarius. This is the sign of hope, the archer, Sagittarius. It's the planet the sign that's ruled by Jupiter. Hope, fun, optimism with this moon here. It's like I see all of you where you come from. Mars is in Sagittarius, which is opposite this here, but it's kind of like they're working together and this polarity to fulfill a duty. I like this. I like seeing that the caucus, these are not bribes. Someone on the ground might be there with bribes, but I see this more as being very charitable to one another, being very fair. Remember, we have Libra down here, balance. That's the purpose. They're taking their job seriously with the balance and listening to everything and making sure they're not going too far one way or another. This is being done with like total, full, open heart, with full open heart. The Democrats are feeling really lucky. They're feeling like the timing is good, things are working out. It's good for the Democrats. The election interference has to do with the sun and revelation. I wonder if we get more revelations tomorrow night, the sun having to do with the President of the United States. Again, that's going to be a topic of discussion. And of course, I'm sure they're going to be trying to provoke something because, Joni Ernst and her, I'm not even going to repeat it. Nope. Okay, the 11th house over here. Now, the sun in Aquarius is the natural ruler over here. It is ruled by the moon because we have Cancer here and the North Node and where we're going. I love this because here we have Capricorn. Capricorn is what you're trying to achieve. It's how you get to your highest social status, your highest work status. It's that thing that draws you to accomplish what you need to accomplish. And you have to, Capricorn is resourceful. They use resources. They need resources. They know how to delegate resources. They know how to get stuff done. And so the Caucus then has the Eight of Pentacles. I like this because the Pentacles are an earthy sign. The Eight of Pentacles, they're working away. There's a routine that they're doing. They're working efficiently. They got this. They've planned for this. The Caucus is, look at all these things that are being heard, everything that's being considered, and they're working efficiently. The Democrats, there's a real sense of coming together as a party, as a shared celebration for what's happening. The meddlers are trying to pelt them with lots of information, quickly, disinformation. So that's what's going to be triggering the passions. And here we go, in the 12th house of Secrets, Hidden Enemy, and Retreat is the solar eclipse and revolution. So this tells me what's hidden, nobody can see, but it's actually all the solar eclipse energy that's been happening. Now, there were 3 solar eclipses I'm considering. One here is from the most recent one being December 26, 2019, where the sun and moon were 4 degrees Capricorn. Over here, we have the July 2nd, 2019, new moon eclipse at 10 degrees Cancer. And then we have this January 21st, 2019, the beginning of the end. That was a full moon blood. That eclipse that lasted 5 hours last year, January 21st, it was the beginning of the end of Donald's presidency. That's what I've always called it. So I would say that this is very much in play here. I like that Libra is here, and I like that Capricorn is here because they're just really taking this responsibly. So when we talk about the hidden enemies, hidden secrets for... I got these backwards. So for... Oh, no, no, no. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, gosh. Okay, so this one goes there. Did I not do magician? Where did the magician go? Just a second. I'm not sure where this magician goes. Oh, I see. That's how it goes. Okay, because this was the ascendant. Okay, so when we look at the caucus, their secret is the magician. Let me double check. Because I did write these down in case this happened. Yes, so their secret is the magician. The caucus is operating extremely efficiently. Wow, I'm shocked at just what a whirlwind, like nothing we've ever seen before. Their hidden enemy is Seven of Swords, having this stolen from them. The Democrats, their secret is how unified they are with one another, the lovers. Their hidden enemy is Russian strength. The interference, the meddling, their secret is the lovers, Trump, Russia. Their hidden enemy is stealing the election again. Either they're going to steal the election or, I think their game is getting turned on them. So their enemy is themselves weaponized. The table's being turned. So this is what we should expect tomorrow night with the caucus. Oh my gosh, 43 minutes. Okay, I'm going to draw 5 cards really quickly. Whoops. I don't think this is I will put it back